Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I think this is my favorite background of all the shows. I always feel so youthful and full of energy. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. And our show today is What's Trending. And the creative genius behind this show is CATHY FULTON. Let's bring her out. Hi,
Good
CATHY.
morning. Hey, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Nice to see you again. We just did Aging Gracefully with Humor. We learned a lot about burnout, and we learned about skincare as well as taking care of ourselves. And that's always trending, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And but we have another great guest, and we were just talking with her briefly backstage, and I can't wait to hear about everything that she has to say about traveling and her novel, and sounds very intriguing.
Absolutely. And CATHY, before we bring her out, how do you feel about traveling? Are you a big proponent of getting out there? And if so, do you like to stay in the States, or you game to leave the country? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I love to travel. But I think in order to enjoy where you're going, for me, it's key to have like somebody that you can travel with. I mean, I'm not opposed to going alone, but it would be my preference to have somebody that I really enjoy going with. But I love to go out of the country. And we used to travel a lot pre-pandemic, and then everything just kind of got shut down. So, I mean, we're kind of sort of getting back into the groove of the things that we used to do, but it just, things have changed, and so you just kind of have to figure out your new normal. I guess maybe that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And CATHY, can you please share your work that you do to help make someone's space beautiful?
So I have an interior design firm, of which I've owned for 22 years. And that's exactly what we try to do. That's our mission, is to take a space that you love, that you really just don't know what to do with, and turn it into a space that you love to be in. Because to me, there is nothing worse than living in a space that you hate. Because believe it or not, I do believe that whether you are really conscious of it and acknowledge it, I think in your subconscious, you walk around going, I really hate this room. I really hate it. I don't enjoy being in it. But yet whether it's your mortgage or you're paying rent, you're paying for that space. So why not create a plan to enjoy it and enjoy all of it?
Absolutely. I agree with you. And, you touched on something I want to speak with Sherry about when she comes out, is about traveling with someone, traveling by yourself, maybe traveling with a group of people. They're all different experiences. So I hate to say, but I feel like because I've been alone so long, I might be jaded, and I don't know if I could actually travel with anyone because I'm so used to doing whatever it is I want to do. So let's have a conversation with that as well when we bring out Sherry. Sherry was here on our platform last week. She was here for the Corner Bookstore. She left a very successful corporate career to go out on her own, and she is an author of a suspense novel, and now it's a travel memoir. The name of this wonderful piece of work is Beyond the Sunset, a travel memoir. Joining us from Pennsylvania, it's Sherry Knowlton. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi. It's lovely to be here.
Thanks so much, Sherry. I love when people come back and so soon because that's really a sign that hopefully you enjoyed your experience and
I
we're going
did.
to learn more from you. So, for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about your background, what you did in the corporate world, and what was the really the reason that you left.
Well, I actually had a sort of a bifurcated career. I spent 2 decades in Pennsylvania state government, and my last job there, I was in charge deputy secretary for the Medicaid program. And so when the administrations changed, I was gone and moved into the corporate sector. And there I also worked in Medicaid and Medicare managed care with one of the Blue Cross entities. And I loved both of my jobs. I'm one of these people who seems to always love what they do. But we had a great opportunity for an early retirement package, and so I jumped out into the world of consulting. And for another decade or so, I did some private healthcare consulting and worked with a couple of firms as well on a ad hoc basis. And during that consulting time, since I wasn't working full time, I decided I was going to write that book that I'd always wanted to write. And my first book was a suspense novel. I have 5 suspense novels out now. It's called the Alexa Williams Suspense Series. But then I decided to try my hand at a travel memoir because that's the other thing my husband and I have done nearly all of our married lives, which is travel all over the place.
Wow.
Thank you, Sherry. And we were just talking. Just Kathy mentioned about traveling with someone else, and you have been traveling with your husband. How important is it to travel with another person? I think that you share experiences together that then you can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have done some solo traveling, certainly, especially when I was working. I went to conferences, I went to meetings. One of my jobs involved actually supervising people in I live in Pennsylvania, in Texas and Vermont. So I was on the road a lot by myself, and occasionally I would turn those business trips into a few days of checking out the area while I'm there. But it is a different experience to travel on your own. I like to travel with my husband. Um, and, I think we sort of feed off each other in terms of the excitement and so forth. And we've also traveled with groups, with group tours. Um, Interestingly, we found a couple on one of our trips. They live in Montana. And now we travel with them all the time. So, we travel as a foursome. They brought 2 friends also from Montana, so sometimes the 6 of us travel together. So I think in my mind, any configuration works that you're comfortable with. Each can give you a slightly different experience. A bigger group involves more negotiation about what you're going to do. Well, Jackie, like you said, a solo trip is much easier to just go ahead and do it on your own. But all have their pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, absolutely. I was celebrating my divorce. I went to Paris for 10 days by myself. It was like, yay, liberating.
Yes, I love Paris. Yeah.
I do too. I want to get back there. So, Kathy, when you think about traveling and being an entrepreneur, right? These are things that we have to consider, right, Sherry? When you have a business or maybe you're working for someone, you have your own business, traveling is a little bit different because somebody's got to be doing the work, or you have to actually have a system or process in place so that you can travel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my laptop goes everywhere with me, and as well as files, because I basically print everything out because I'm so scared that I'm going to lose something. Because I'm notorious for hitting the wrong button and then it's in the trash, and then I can't find it in the trash, and so I'm one of those nervous Nellies. But yeah, I mean, I can remember a few years ago uh, we took a trip to Rome and then on to Paris. And because I also sell real estate. Um, just one more thing. But I had a closing in Rome and a closing when I was in Paris. And so, I mean, it worked, you know. And then I went and bought that beautiful handbag in Paris that I said, if this deal closes, I'm getting it. And, well, because it was so iffy. I mean, real estate is it's great when it's great, but when it's a nightmare, it's a nightmare. And because people are so you want everybody to be happy, but somebody is invariably ticked off because of this, that, or the other. So anyway, so yeah, my laptop, it does travel everywhere. But Sherry, so I want to know, like, what are some of like your do recommend places that people need to book and go for 2022 or the rest of 2022 and into 2023?
Oh, well, there's so many places that you can travel to, and lots of it depends on personal preference. Um, I one of my husband Mike and my favorite places is Africa. We love African safaris, but for those, you probably need to book about a year in advance, at least in typical times. So if you're thinking about something like that, you should be exploring the options right now. I think there are lots of other more immediate trips that you can take. Europe is always a good option, especially traveling in the fall can be lovely to all the places in the northern hemisphere. Uh, and if you're not quite ready, either because of COVID or just because you're not a seasoned traveler, there's so many places around the country in the United States that are just amazing. The national parks. I know Yellowstone's had some problems because of climate, but climate issues. There was that huge flood this summer. But the western parks can be lovely in the fall. One of my favorite memories is always my husband and I, when we were younger, used to hike a lot, and we'd always head out to Colorado, Wyoming, or Montana in the fall. And one of my favorite memories are the aspens just sort of shivering in the breeze on the covering the slopes in gold. Just a wonderful thing to do. Um, or head a route that takes you a little bit to more warm territory like Sedona and Santa Fe, or go north to New England and see the leaves change. There's so many places that you can go, some of them on the spur of the moment. That I can't really choose one favorite, but there's lots of places that I'd highly recommend that you go or plan to go for next year.
Yeah. Well, so rewinding a bit and talking about your suspense novels. So once you took your early retirement, what got you into this genre? What made you say, I want to write suspense novels?
Well, long ago when I was in college, I I had planned to actually write as a career. I was going to be a journalist, and after college. My husband and I took a road trip around the country in our hippie van. We were gone for many months, and when we came back, I sort of took one of the first jobs that I could get. and couldn't land a newspaper job at that point. So I just sort of went into state government and never returned into the journalism career that I'd always wanted. But what I did do, all my jobs had a lot of a writing component in. I wrote regulations, I wrote state plans, I wrote legislation from time to time. And every once in a while, I would try to write a short story or something, but never really had time, especially as I got into executive positions, both at the state level and then in the corporate sector. Um, but all the while, I would take time to read because I'm just, ever since I was a kid, I've been a big reader. And in recent years, and recent meaning maybe the last 2 decades, I've really concentrated more on suspense. So when it came to the point where I was going to try to write that novel, I thought, well, suspense is the genre that I really like. That's what I should try to write in. And so I did.
Thanks for sharing that, Sherry. I'm just wondering, do you like to be kept in suspense, or are you someone you want to know answers right away?
My husband's always telling me, like, this isn't a suspense novel because I'm saying, what's going on? What do you think? What do you think happened there? So I guess I do like to know what's going on, which is why I write them, and also why I always race through them. Where, you know, if I start a book, I got to get to the end by that day or the next, or I just can't survive. So I guess I want to know the answers.
Thanks for sharing that. We do have a comment. Hello, Tarek. Thanks for coming back again, especially when visiting a different country and want to explore the culture. A linguist or an interpreter would be of essence. Some locals that live in the USA could be an asset to travel with to Europe, Africa, Asia, or the Middle East. And I think Tarek is in Aruba. Correct me if I'm wrong. But thanks for your comment. Do either of you want to comment on his comment?
I guess I would say that the idea of taking an interpreter along is sort of a new twist, but certainly when we have been to countries where we don't know the language, and I know a little bit of French, enough to get by, and a little bit less of Spanish, and that's it. So it is important. And, you know, as I think Americans, some Americans often think, well, they can go to another country and everybody will speak English. Well, no, that's not true. The people speak the language of their own countries. And so having a guide is often very important in countries where they don't speak English or your language, whatever that is. So I agree with Tarek that having an interpreter can be critical to having to navigating a country and having a good trip there.
Thank you so much. Kathy, anything you want to share?
Well, I'm thinking about the name of your travel memoir, Beyond the Sunset. That's it, correct? Okay. And so then adventures outside my comfort zone. Okay, care to elaborate about the adventures outside your comfort zone? Because you named safari, and I mean, I would love to go on a safari. I mean, there's a lot that I would do, but can you elaborate?
Sure. I think one of the reasons that I like to travel is because it pushes me outside my comfort zone. Just the whole idea of traveling is something new and different just to begin with. And I was a small town Pennsylvania girl, didn't travel much as a kid, but always longed to travel. And all the books that I read, just showed me that there was a whole world out there that I wanted to see. But I as I reflected as I was writing this travel memoir, I realized that I really do like to stretch myself. Um, and, things like a hot air balloon or my husband and son and I learned to sail when I was in my 40s, which was, just take up a new thing. And then we sailed in the Caribbean, we sailed in Greece and Polynesia. Uh, we've, hiking into the backcountry when I was younger, going to sort of exotic places. And, exotic, of course, is in the eye of beholder. The people who live there may not think that it's all that exotic. But to us, not the typical tourist haunts that many people choose, although we do a lot of those as well. But, going to the out islands of Indonesia or into Myanmar, uh, right before the coup happened. So we have, you know, uh, uh, I like to do things that are different and sometimes a little hard, but I think that just the act of traveling shakes you up enough that that shakes up your comfort zone, and that's good. To me, that's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm
I think it's,
wondering, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, what kind of research do you have to do in order to write these experiences that maybe you haven't had, but you want to have? I know we talked on the other show about the fact that you do extensive research.
Yeah, for my novels, I've had to do some research. Um, uh, they're contemporary suspense novels, and most of them are based in my area in South Central Pennsylvania. But a lot of them have a historical backstory type thing, and so I've had to research different aspects of historical events. One deals with something that happened in the Civil War. Another deals with three girls who were murdered during the Depression. Um, Also, another example is fracking. One of the novels is about fracking, hydraulic fracturing, which is, how you get gas out of the the ground. And so I spent a lot of time traipsing around northeastern Pennsylvania and looking at the fracking fields and talking to people who had fracking in their backyards. So there's that type of research. For this travel memoir, uh, that's not fiction. That's like things that I'm recounting that happened to me personally. But you know, it covers a lot of time from like when Sherry was born, but not in detail back then. But things like I went to Woodstock, um, and that was 50 years ago. So although I remembered a lot of Woodstock, I had to go out online and figure out, well, which was it, which day was it that uh, that uh, Santana played, and some things like that. Because they say there's this statement that says, if you remember Woodstock, you weren't really there. So
Sherry, for some reason, I mean, because I just watched a show a couple of weeks ago on Woodstock. Okay.
oh,
And,
did you?
and so I think I saw you there. I think I saw you there. I know it was you. I really do. But as people say this about me in different aspects, I get it that you went, I don't see you there. But hey, more power to you. I cannot imagine to me it just looked like a mess. But I mean, it's a huge part of history, right? Everybody knows Woodstock.
Yeah. And I can see that, but I think we were maybe a little bit different. Our group, uh, we were, even as kids, we did a lot of camping, and we just viewed this as a camping trip. So we brought tents, food, all the things that you would do if you were going someplace to spend a weekend.
Right. The
And
rationing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, we didn't just hop in a car and say, "Oh, wow, yeah, we're going to Woodstock." So we had a much better experience. Although there were a few downsides, like mud, lots of mud, lots of mud.
Yeah, I think most people's packing list back then was on their way to Woodstock was, okay, we got pot, check. We got acid, check. Okay, we're good. Let's go.
Yeah, we were an exception to the norm. We brought like food and sleeping bags. So
Very smart. Very smart.
And of course, my idea of camping is the Four Seasons, but I don't know. I just So there's a question I have for you we're not promoting any specific brand, but when you travel, do you like to stay at 5-star, 4-star? How do be Airbnb? How do you decide where you're going to stay?
Um, it's really a mix. And I think it has evolved over the years with our disposable income, so that a lot of the camping that we did when we were younger is partly because we like to camp, partly because we couldn't afford not to camp. Um, but in recent years, I'd say we like our comfort, and we don't always stay at 4-star, 5-star hotels, but we do like to splurge from time to time. When you mentioned Four Seasons, one of our favorite experiences of all the trips that we've taken was at a Four Seasons tented camp, but it's not what you might think of as a camp. It was a very luxurious camp where we rode elephants and were in the Thai jungle. So anywhere from the Four Seasons to, if we're on a road trip, we have no problem just finding a hotel at one of the chains along the way, and to spend the night. A lot of it depends on how long you're going to stay. Whether you're planning on spending a lot of time in your room, and whether you're looking for a view, or just a bed for a couple of days. We just took a trip, came back in July from South America, and part of our stay was in Brazil's Pantanal, which is a very remote wetland. And some of the places that we stayed there were like rustic fishing lodges. It was part of a tour, and they were pretty basic. But we also, in that same trip, were on Amazon riverboat that was very luxurious with 3 gourmet meals a day. So we like to mix it up, and sort of decide whether we really want to splurge, or whether it's really not necessary for that particular trip or that particular night along the way.
Thank you.
Well,
That's really, yeah, Kathy, please.
yeah, I mean, you didn't say this exactly, but I think kind of the takeaway is, at different points in your life, your accommodations are going to be, it's just whatever time of life you're in. And,
Exactly.
I mean, so for me right now, because I have like some other personal things in my life, for me, I'm happy to go to any hotel that is, as long as it's safe, and I can lock the door and I have peace. And so that's good for
Mhm.
me. I don't really care. I really don't care. I just want peace and quiet.
Right.
But then you referred to what came to mind when you were talking were things like glamping. Um, and I've read about it and it seems like a lot of fun. Um, I'm not my husband isn't quite there yet, but he's a great travel companion. I mean, we both, I always remind him how fortunate he is to have me as a travel companion, because like I want to go to bed early, and he does too. And I'm not a drinker, I mean, I'm like, you don't know how lucky you are, because I could have you out going, saying, I want to go dancing, and we're out drinking all night. I could drag you around. So be very grateful, be very nice to me. But he's not there yet with the glamping. But other points that you made about the hot air balloon, I could never do that because I'm scared of heights. And I just knew you were going to say that you'd taken a trip to go skydiving. Have you?
No, I
Are you
too am
going to?
afraid. No, no. Well, only if the plane is going down, and there are parachutes. I'm afraid of heights. I found out actually that a hot air balloon didn't bother me at all. I loved it. I've
Really?
been up 3 times, but the idea of jumping out of an airplane door, I'm sort of shivering just even talking about it. So no.
We were talking about, because I have a horrible fear of heights as well. And when you just said jump out of a plane, I mean, my hands and feet again are sweating. I mean, I'm gonna need a shower after these shows today, because I just, but I was talking about in the other show. I mean, I've gotten to the point where, like, driving across a bridge, it can be, I mean, a low level bridge is okay. But like when you're going, say like going to a beach somewhere, and they'll have like the big bridges, I mean, I just look at it and go, did you really have to build it that high? I mean, come on. How
Yes.
high are these ships anyway? It's not like you're going to get a big old cruise ship going through here. But I just began, it's very difficult for me. And I mean, it's like so much so that I think that it could defeat me, but I just press on. But I try to get in the slow lane. I mean, people that, and it's just almost cruel for people on a bridge to like get on your bumper. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not doing real well right now. You really shouldn't do this to me. I mean, but everybody has a different, I just try to leave people alone I try to give them a lot of grace when
Yes.
they're on the road, I mean, but not everybody's wired that way. But
No.
so that I can relate very much so to the fear of heights. But Jacalyn, I think you said something about heights. No, that do
My
heights.
mom is
Your
afraid
mom.
of heights. She always feels like she wants to jump. So yeah, like going to a theater, she'll be like, no, no, no. So we don't go to the theater anymore. So,
Oh wow.
yeah. Of course, we don't go
Yeah.
anywhere, so that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, because if I get near an edge, I always like I want to
Back away.
shuffle back
Yeah.
away from the edge,
Yeah.
not get near it.
So how do
Yeah.
you feel, both of you, when you're getting in a plane? Do you have to sit in the aisle seat? Can you sit in the window seat, or doesn't bother you?
Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't
Wow,
bother me at all. No, not planes. Yeah.
interesting.
I want to mention that in my Beyond the Sunset book, there it has photographs in that my husband and I have taken on these various trips, and one of them is us in a balloon on the Serengeti Plain in Africa. So check it out. Maybe it'll look more interesting if you look at the photo.
It sounds like, from what you said before and what you're saying now, you really do enjoy going to Africa.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, so I don't know how many flights it is or how many hours it is, but what do you do to keep yourself sane while you're traveling that distance? And are you writing while you're traveling?
No, I'm not writing. I really can't focus. Now, when I used to travel for business, I did sort of train myself to do, read mail and sometimes get ready for a meeting or something like that. But now that I'm not really doing that anymore, I don't often write. I may jot down some notes. I have a process where I jot all these little notes about things that maybe could go in the book, and then I gather them all together at some point when I sit down to write and construct the flow. But what I do, I sleep. I find that I'm pretty good at sleeping on planes, which is good for long distance flights. I watch movies, but mostly I read books. That's my big thing, and I can lose myself in a book pretty easily. So that's my tried and true for long flights, a book.
Thank you. I think being able to sleep on a flight is a real art. But Sherry, I'm wondering, when we think about your latest book, are you doing any book signings? Are you going to be doing any book signings where people could meet you in person?
Yes, I am. In fact, I have one on Tuesday. No, in 2 days, I meant to say. On Saturday, at a Carlisle area bookstore that's been very supportive of me called and my work, called Whistle Stop Bookstop. Um, and then I do have other book signings over the next couple months, and even a few again around Christmas time. So the best way to really check that out is my website, because we keep a calendar of events up there at www.sherryknowlton.com.
Thanks, Sherry. What do you like about book signings? How do you feel about doing it?
Um, I I do like them. I mean, first of all, it's flattering that people are actually buying your book, uh, and it's nice to chat with people. Of course, the format of a book signing doesn't really leave you too long to chat with people, especially if it's hopefully crowded. With various people. But one of the things I like the best is now, this is my first travel memoir, so I haven't really had that much feedback on it yet. It's just been released recently. But on my suspense novels, one of the best things ever is when somebody comes up to buy the new book and says, "Oh, I really want to know what happened to Alexa and Reese," which are the two of the main characters, Alexa and her current boyfriend, anyway, Reese. And so you can, or some other remark that tells that they're really, really bought into the story and sort of the unfolding of the characters in the series. So that's a really heartwarming thing to happen when readers come up and are really truly engaged in what I've written.
Absolutely. That's a real compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
And
for you.
it's always a
I
bit of a surprise to me, but it's a lovely surprise.
It is. It gives you a reason to continue on, right? Knowing that people are reading your material and they really like it.
Yes. Yeah.
I know here on this island, we have one of those book boxes. Somebody has one, outside of their home, and it's take a book, give a book.
Hmm.
So I walk by there all the time, and I started bringing my books. I have two different books. And anyway, I would see the one with the green cover. Nobody ever reads it, but the other one's always gone. So I keep putting more books, but it made me realize the green cover is not attractive. So I'm going to be redoing
Oh.
that. Yeah. So have you ever had any thoughts about your own covers, and do you go back after you've written, do you do any types of updates to your books?
The only book in which my publisher updated the cover was the very first one. My suspense books are all dead. Oh, it's called Dead of Autumn, Dead of Summer, Dead of Spring, Dead of Winter, and then Dead on the Delta. And in the So there's a lot of dead in my books, although they're not particularly gory books, but there's a lot of dead. And in the seasons books, the ones that are named after the seasons, the first one was autumn, and the cover on that depicted just a woman or a young girl with her eyes on the cover, and it was a sort of, what's the right word? A very sort of washed out look. which it's a very nice photo, very nice treatment, but it didn't seem to really grab people. So the publisher redesigned the cover. Same concept, but it's orangey autumn type colors, and they've stuck with that. And then the other covers all follow a similar format, and so that you can tell that it's a series. With On the Sunset, there's really going to be 2 volumes. Volume 1 is out now. Volume 2 will be released in December. And my husband's photos grace the cover of both the current Beyond the Sunset Volume 1 as well as the Volume 2 that will be out in December. Oh, there's the balloon picture.
Yes, there's the
I
website.
love that. I love the elephant. Oh my gosh.
Great
Sherry,
pictures.
are you okay? Is Dead on Arrival? Is that maybe a possible?
Yeah, when we were trying to come up with dead on the Delta, you should have heard all the different the ideas people had. So Beyond the Sunset, this cover right here that is on the screen, that's an acacia at sunset in Samburu National Park in sort of north central Kenya. And my husband took that as we were having sundowners on the hill. So cocktails on the hill as the sun went down.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Sherry, where else shall I go here on your website?
Oh, there's the suspense, some of the suspense covers. You can see, as I was just talking about the dead of autumn, it's now a more of a autumny toned sort of look, and that's been more successful as a cover. So I think, Dr. Jacalyn, I think you're absolutely right that covers really do draw people in, or or leave them cold. And I think I've had very good cover designers, although it's been a different people over the years. The publisher does the covers, not me, but I do get input. And I've been pleased with what I've gotten, but they are important in attracting a reader to a book.
Definitely. And I feel this one, Dead of Autumn, the woman's eyes are drawing me in.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yes. So.
Yeah, and Dead of Winter. It looks winter. Yeah, that's.
It looks eerie.
Yeah, it does.
So winter. And then Dead on the Delta is the exception to, I said all my books take place in South Central Pennsylvania. The one exception is Dead on the Delta, where my heroine, her boyfriend gets a temporary job doing wildlife research in Botswana. And so the whole book takes place in Botswana. For number 6, which I'm working on right now, they'll be back home. So back to Central Pennsylvania.
Fabulous. There's a lot of great information here, your bios here, the podcast you've been on. So I'd love for everybody to go over to your website. If you're listening on a radio platform or a podcast platform, it's Sherry's name, which is spelled SherryKnowlton.com. All right. And Sherry, we have your link for your latest book so people can go and purchase it. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Anything you'd like to share with us before we say goodbye for today, Sherry?
Well, I would just encourage people to buy my book, of course, all my books, really. But since we're talking mostly about travel here, I think, I would encourage people to embrace travel. Try a short trip if you're not a seasoned traveler. See how you like it, but pushing your comfort zone by getting out of your day-to-day routine can only be good. So go travel, everybody, please.
Absolutely. You know, something that I think is really kind of nice to do when you set up a trip is to set up a day or several hours where you're actually doing volunteer work, because you get to see a whole different side of that country or that area, and you can feel good about doing something and giving back.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. Do come back and see us, and best wishes on continued success for your book sales.
Oh, thank you very much. I
Thank you,
appreciated the
Sherry.
interview. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Well, it makes you want to travel, doesn't it, Kathy?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I mean, like I said, pre-pandemic, we were gone all the time. And, then I really didn't want to go anywhere out of the country, even, because of the COVID testing rules. I was fearful that I would get stuck. And,
Mhm.
With dogs and my mom and everything, I just kind of pretty much shut down the idea. So, I mean, I'm ready to go again. How about you?
I used to travel all the time in my corporate career, and I haven't been anywhere except to Florida. We'll be going back there in a couple of weeks, and I'll be in the dark behind the green screen, and I will not be going anywhere. I'm saying to myself, 3 years, I'm going to commit myself all into my work, and then I'll plan a trip to go somewhere.
Very good.
Yeah,
Something to
for
look
sure.
forward to.
Definitely. And Kathy, if you could please share with our audience how they can hire you to transform their home, their space, and where do you work? Will you go all over the world based on what we were just talking about?
Sure. I mean, I definitely will travel to your location. I have no problem with that. But if you're wanting to book an appointment with me, you can do it one of two ways. You can call me, and that number is 703-895-3798. Or if you would just prefer to reach out via email, that's great too. And that is Kathy Fulton 1965 @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
And Kathy, just to clarify, do they have to be wanting to do their entire home, or could it be a kitchen? Could it be, what is the criteria really?
No, it's I mean, we can work room at a time. That's no problem. I mean, of course, the bigger the better. Those are always nice, but yeah, no project is too small.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. We had two great shows today, and I wish you an
Yeah,
amazing rest of your day.
thank you, and same to you.
Thank you. We're signing off for right now, and we will be back shortly with our next show. Please do go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's USA Global TV and Radio. Thanks for now. Bye, everyone. Bye, Sherry.
Bye.